Well, good morning, everybody. It's Trade Formula on a cold Friday morning. Take a look at XRP. So, a lot of you might have been shocked, as I was, at the volume of drop that happened just the other day. And let's talk about that a little bit. So, number one, I think we all know that XRP is currently inextricably linked with Bitcoin. This is something I talked about in the last video. Currently, until XRP is more easily accessible, let's put it that way, in terms of how people could just directly buy XRP, or maybe when when Bitcoin has less dominance over the cryptocurrency market. And by the way, it's going down, of course, as time goes on. That's the way it's trending. That I think we'll see that. Until they're unlinked, well, if Bitcoin goes down, then you're going to see XRP do the same thing. So currently, we are in what I would consider clearly a bearish trend. And let's talk about that a little bit. So real quickly, I'm going to switch my chart to Bitcoin. And we'll take a look at Coinbase, and you'll see that the drop, I would say, was a little bit more severe based on what's going on there. Now, one thing that's a little troubling for me with Bitcoin is that I've done some nominal charting with Bitcoin, and you can see, well, I think it's fair to move this down a little bit. We are right at support, the lowest support. In fact, we broke it with Bitcoin. We're coming up on we're close to a line of support that I had drawn a long time ago. Let's actually change to the daily. All right, here we go. So there's multiple touches here throughout. We had the spike. We had touch, broke that, of course, heading down. And, I don't know where we'll land with Bitcoin, but I think ultimately this could be a decision-making moment right here, and that's, mid to late January of 19. So it's coming up pretty soon on that. So if we do believe that Bitcoin and Ripple are inextricably linked, I think, it's fair to say that we're not going to see a whole lot lower than we are right now. I think buyers are probably seeing the convergence of these two lines and putting buy orders in, where the two meet, which is, hey, exactly where these supports are, here and here and here. So I think that's kind of interesting. We'll see. This isn't Bitcoin analysis. This is XRP analysis. So let's take a look. I use Bitstamp because of their history, but I don't like how little volume they do because of that, you see these extremely volatile price movements. In fact, right now, we're at 0.46816, which is a little bit lower than other exchanges, which I don't really love. So let's talk about XRP. Ultimately, these two align in March. I think we're probably looking at right now a wedge pattern, and we have 1, 2, 3 touches. I had that line drawn in way back here, and you can see that we actually did break it again. I believe due to low volume, and I think most likely, this red line is going to be really quite strong. So that's why we're seeing some resistance right now. And on the daily, at least, we have a bearish trend on the stochastic. So if it was me, pardon me, I think, now is not a bad selling moment. We have this kind of hook happening, a downturn with slow K, and you can see this price action doing that. We got rather close to the red line, and I think we're going to blow through this personally, and I think we're going to see a return to 40 cents. Ultimately, most likely, I think where we're going to land is along the lines of following this channel pattern right down here. We're going to hit resistance at 37 cents, and then we're going to have the momentum it takes to break that red line. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that in. I'm going to do a couple things. First, let's pop this in here. I'm going to make this my support, okay? And we're going to have a good amount. Let's make this our stop, all right? And in regards to the target, Tell you what, let me change to daily. So this is how I trade, guys. I really manage risk and reward. If you remember, by the way, before we get too much going on that, if you remember from the last video, I had my buy order in right here. The stop was about right there. Okay, and my target was here, or my target was high. Sorry, my target was high. Trigger was here. Okay, stop was here. If this is 1% of your account from this to this, if that's what you're risking, right? You follow me? Then this would be what, 5% growth, 4% growth, 3% growth? And so when this line was broken, I said, if you look at the other post that I have, I said sell order. And this would mean that you've made money on that trade. Okay, we didn't lose money, even though it did dip beneath where the stop was. We didn't lose money on that. I hope that makes sense. If you need any clarification, just let me know. Here's what I'm saying. I think this is a reasonable target. Now, it's tough to just place a target in midair like that. I don't really love that because the way that I trade is generally based on dynamic movements like stochastics, and I have no way of knowing where the stochastic will be when it gets down here. It might max out here. You know, we have another wedge kind of happening in this dotted line. I have it that way because I'm not certain about it yet. You see what I mean? And so I don't know that it's going to land here. It might actually trigger here if the stochastic is low enough. I don't anticipate it will be, but it could be. You see what I mean? And so minimal risk, okay, and maximum reward. And that way you can afford to be wrong a large percent of the time. See what I mean? If you're making the equivalent of, I mean, let's have all-time high, right? What's the risk to reward on this? Let's take a look. 163 to 1. I mean, you could be wrong 163 times and right one time and break even. See what I mean? All right. So this is where I would anticipate. It's actually bumped up just a little bit to allow. We're going to lose a little bit of risk reward. We're now down to 115 to 1. Still pretty good. But let's set it right here and let's see what happens. Okay. So to recap, we tried once before. It broke our support. Right. I'm going to stretch it out because I really like this blue line. Why? Because it goes the entire way back to this pattern. Okay. That's why I like that blue line. So we entered here. We made a little bit of money. Okay, 3 to 1. That gave us 3 more rounds at the table. Okay, see what I mean? And now this is one of those tries. You follow me? And so I think we're going to see a bearish pattern based on this stochastic. By the way, the prediction I had for $8 by end of year, that's certainly obviously been pushed back outside of some kind of JP Morgan announcement or whatever. You know, I do still think we're in a ultimately bullish trend. Why? This looks pretty bullish to me, you know. Long-term bullish, short-term a little bit bearish, okay? So I hope this helps. I hope this makes sense. Let me know if you have any questions or comments.